The day has finally arrived for the radial drill to come inside the workshop. It has not been indoors for more than 40 years. This is quite a big moment. After what feels like weeks of cleaning the machine and rearranging the workshop so that I have enough clear space to do the remaining work, we are finally here. Today's plan is to get it inside, get some paint on it, and begin some proper assembly. I'm using my second favourite method for moving heavy lumps like this. The first is rollers, but the drill doesn't have a flat bottom. Instead, I'm dragging it along two steel bars, which are lightly oiled. A come-along winch, anchored to my fly press in the back, is doing the dragging. Because the anchor point is never in the perfect position, I was on a crash course with the milling machine. Luckily, with a bit of leverage and some fine adjustments on the mill, machine-on-machine contact was avoided. It's so good to have the whole radial drill finally indoors. This isn't its permanent location in the shop. It will eventually move further in, but this is just a convenient place for it to sit out the way while all of the major jobs are completed. The drill has been thoroughly stripped and cleaned before coming indoors. Before we can paint it, however, there is some small work to do to the casting. On this side of the bed there was once some kind of cover over this opening, and all that remains of it is these three old fixings. I'm certain this is a later addition, so I'm knocking these off with the chisel and then peening them back to blend them with surrounding material. On the back of the arm we have a mystery stud. I'm not sure what this was doing, perhaps fitting a guard of some kind. Either way, it's getting the same treatment. At the drive end we have another mystery, this time a bracket with a socket. I assume this was to hold some kind of belt guard that could then swing out of the way to change gears. Again, it's not original, so it's coming off. There are also two old fixings along the drive support arm. These are perfectly in line with the back gears. It was very common to fabricate steel guards for back gears later on in the machine's working life. I expect that's what these studs were holding on, but they have long since rusted away. The other issue I need to deal with before painting is the oil seepage down the column. I was a little trigger happy with the oil before the arm was lifted on, and no matter how many times I degrease the base of the column, oil continues to seep onto it. So I jack the arm up to create a gap and I'm able to mop up most of the oil. I'm going to be using this Paragon paint. I have to say a huge thank you to the guys over at Paragon Paints for sending me this paint. They wanted to support the Radial project. I'm hugely grateful for that. I've never used their paint before, but I've only heard good things about it from others. So let's see how we get on. Well, it says stir well, so let's do that. So I've chosen Battleship Grey as a colour. I'm just kidding, this is a primer. Going on very nice. The colour I've chosen, after much deliberation, is Graphite Grey, RAL code 9011. This is as close as I could get to the lowest layer of paint surviving on the machine, a sort of leady black colour. It's a similar colour to my other Victorian machines, so I think they will all look good together. Paragon were able to sort me out with the exact colour code I needed in the right finish. They have hundreds of colours from British Standard to RAL numbers, as well as standard original colours to match many makes of machine tools, stationary engines, vintage tractors and more. Their website is in the description for those that want to check them out. We have a newly painted machine, a large pile of very clean parts, which means it is finally time to start putting them back on. The first part to tackle is the main drive shaft with the cone and ball wheel. This is a bit fiddly because both parts have to be held in alignment with the bracket while the shaft is fitted from the end at the same time. Okay. Before it goes all the way through, we need to go inside and install this gear on the end of the shaft. After a lot of faffing about, both parts were on the shaft. However, the ball wheel needs to be keyed to the shaft. This drives the whole machine either from the back gear or from the cone directly. The difficulty now is getting the keyway in line blindly. Hey! So this is the other end of the drive shaft that we've just put in with the gear on it, and then that drives its friend, which goes up through the column, takes the drive up. Just got to align these keyways and then drive this home, and that will lock those two together, and then I will never have to come in here again. And by saying that, I have ensured that I definitely will. I should probably clear the spider webs out, to be fair. Come on. There we go. Right, let's move that over there so I can hit it. Oh, that's satisfying. When did I remove that? Don't know. I think it was part 2 I removed that gear. A very long time ago. This is the shaft that holds the back gear, and that slides in there. And then when the back gear's running on there, you can rotate it, and it's eccentric, so that can engage or disengage the back gear. So let's oil this up. This is a bit fiddly as well. So the back gear is one piece and it fits perfectly in there. And then I need to put the shaft in at the same time. Go on, there we go. Just like that. There we are. And then it rotates freely on that drive. And then I can engage it like so. Locking pin goes in. And there's your back gears. They're lubricated with this in this hole here. You have to remove that. Stick some oil in and then put it back. And the cone also freewheels on its spindle, so there's also oil holes provided here. The next mechanism to install is the one that raises and lowers the arm on the column. We start with this shaft. On the end of it is this worm that fits on there. I need a bit of persuasion. Where is my persuader? There it is. Something about this area of the drill that's always being a pain, because this is not happy. So that doesn't want to go in there, giving it quite a heavy bluing. I'm just going to see what's causing the issue. Rubbing a bit here and here. Right, taking a file to the high spots, if that's any better. No, it is not. That's the answer to that. So I just spent a while polishing this up on the lathe, and it does fit in the casting now, and the gear slides on properly. But I'm just spending a bit of time knocking the top off this key slightly. It is a bit tight still on the gear. Keep going until it's starting to go most of the way, and then leave a little bit just to tap in for a nice tight fit. Not that it really needs it. I don't know what was up with the shaft. It might have been a little bit distorted from where it was driven out. I did think it was bent, but the whole thing was about 25 thou eccentric from its centres. There wasn't a point that was worse than the rest. So it wasn't significantly bent. There was something going on, but a bit of work with some emery just to drop the size a few thousandths has made it fit nicely. We are there now, we're back to size. And I'm just going to get this gear fitted. And then let's try again. Spot on. Time for the big boy worm wheel. I don't actually remember which way it went on. No, it was this way. So the last job is to make a key to fix this gear to its shaft. Then we'll be able to raise the arm, remove the spacers and drop it down. think this might be the one. No, a bit more. You can see the high spot is working its way back. We want it to be up here really. The keyway is not actually a tapered keyway, so we want it parallel most of the way, and then a little spot up here just to lock it in. I think that might go. Spot on. Now that means that if we install a bar in this hole and turn this shaft, which turns that worm, which turns that worm wheel, which turns this pinion, which then drives that rack, we will have the effect of raising the whole arm up on its collar. How cool is that? Wonder how far we can go. I think that's your lot. Wow. I'll see you next time.